Hello and welcome to the Luna Holistic podcast and the Lightworker Call to Action series. I'm Geneva Robbins and I'm a Reiki master here in Calgary, and which is the home of the Treaty 7 peoples. So I just am so thankful that you are here and joining me tonight. And I just want to extend a heartfelt thank you to the Indigenous peoples of the world, of wherever you happen to be sitting. Thank you to those peoples and their descendants. And I want to spend just a minute to send a personal thank you to the Treaty 7 peoples, the Siksika, the Piikani, the Kainai, the Tsuut'ina, the Nakota, and Métis nations. Thank you for being lovely hosts, and thank you and welcome everyone. I am so pleased to kick off season 2 of the Lightworker podcast, and this one will be a little bit different than the ones before. So I'll be doing more channeling and more answering questions and just really downloading whatever the guides and angels and ascended masters have to share with us all. So it'll be a little bit of interesting journey. I don't always know what is going to come through, and so it's a little bit of a trust fall into the universe's hands for me. But whenever I do that and I really follow my guidance, I always find that it works out for me so very well. So whenever I follow my heart and I really listen to the divine within me, I find that everything always goes better when you listen to the divine. Thank you if you're joining live, and thank you if you are joining later. If you have any comments or questions as we go through everything, please type them into the chat or into the comment section on YouTube or other places where there may be comments. I will endeavor to read them all. So thank you. Very briefly, before we get really going into the content tonight, what is a light worker? So it's a term that I use fairly frequently, and it's really just like a catch-all phrase because I haven't come up with anything better. But it's a light worker, I feel, is somebody who has a light inside them that they just can't help but shining and sharing with the world. Light workers tend to be very compassionate people with very big hearts and usually with fairly big purpose, that they have a creative streak in them. They are sensitive, they are deep feelers, they're empaths and intuitives, and tend to be drawn to healing and helping careers and modalities like Reiki, as well as many, many other areas. And I think light workers are so important and tend to be mostly who I work with. I've always been drawn to heal the healers and teach the teachers. That's sort of my purpose in this, is to help the people who maybe are on the front lines of the world and the things that need to help shift and change, and basically support people in doing their own self-healing work and teaching people who are really sensitive, who care a lot, who feel a lot, to keep that sensitive, empathetic awareness and edge, but at the same time to teach you tools like Reiki and grounding and visualization tools that will help protect that sacred light inside you so that you can shine and share and bring that intuitive goodness to the world. light workers aren't always in healing and helping professions. And I should note that is that sometimes, and I really have found this in the last couple of months, is that the universe has placed us in various spaces throughout the world. We're in every strata of society. We're in every industry. I've taught people who are engineers, who are doctors, lawyers, administrative assistants, everybody. There's just, people who are truckers, people who are, on the front lines and in behind the scenes everywhere. So, and I really feel like in particular right now, we're in this world awakening and really awakening to this deeper sense of compassion and connection with our fellow human beings. Sometimes that awakening and growth is painful. So if you look at the news, it seems like a list of really devastating events, one after the other after the other. And it is. There's definitely tragedy and heartache within any massive big change and shift. And in behind it is a rainbow. In behind the storms of life are new shoots and new growth and new experiences and a compassionate awakening, which often doesn't get covered in news, is that people's hearts are in the process of being awakened. Likely you've had an awakened heart for some time and have learned tools to either protect that heart or cage it up or do things to insulate yourself from the world around you, which can be very raw and rough and challenging for people who care a lot, feel a lot, and intuit a lot. So, but I feel like we are poised in this beautiful moment in history where it is our job as sensitive feelers who've maybe been in it for a while is to help lead the way and shine that light and help other people who are in this very vulnerable, very painful awakening to their empathy and compassion. And to teach people basically these strengths and skill sets of how to manage and keep this very sensitive heart going, that keeping connected to yourself and to the divine in a very disconnected world. So that's kind of where we're headed with all of this stuff. That's the way I see my purpose and my direction is to really bring that in the way that really share the tools that I use as a very sensitive, big-hearted, feeling, compassionate person, and how I'm able to sometimes expertly, sometimes very inexpertly apply those tools to move through and navigate this time. And really, I've been using these tools for a really long time. And they've been really put to the test these last 3 months, 4 months, however long it's been. Time is weird. So it's really, I'm really grateful to see you all here, and I'm really grateful if you're listening later. It's just amazing, amazing work. So loosely, the topics for tonight are forgiveness, gratitude, and harmony. So we'll start off with meditation. So I'll just guide you into a bit of a grounding, settling meditation where we'll activate all of the chakras, which are energy centers within the body, and really boost up and kind of give a little bit of a shine to your aura, which is the energetic layer that surrounds the body. Very, very important for sensitive feeling type of people to have a very strong, clear aura. So we'll start there. So you can gently close your eyes and just take a few deeper breaths. Just letting the busyness of the day, whatever energy you might be feeling, whatever vibration you are currently sitting in, you might be feeling calm, you might be feeling anxious, you might not know what you're feeling. However you are feeling is perfectly okay. Just notice that energy and give yourself permission to settle in just a little bit deeper. Very slowly allowing the energy to settle down around your head, allowing it to flow through the body, down and in through the heart. Maybe a nice big sigh of relief. Settling in through the solar plexus and the belly. Allowing all of your energy to fall to the center. Bringing you courage and strength. Knowing that you are strong, whole, centered, and complete. And allowing that courageous light to shine brighter. Bringing the energy down to the lower belly. Down into the root at the base of the spine. Feeling down in through the sit bones, down the bones of your legs, right to the bottoms of your feet. Just noticing the gentle connection of gravity anchoring you in to the planet, to Mother Earth, to an ancient and universal source of strength, calmness, and grounding. Another soft breath, letting it all go. Allowing whatever tension, energy, or emotion you might be holding in the body to gently drain out the bottoms of your feet. Bringing a softness in through the body and a deep sense of kindness and gratitude. Bringing an energy in through the crown of your head, the very top of your head. Bringing it down through the third eye, between your brows, down through to the throat, filling the heart. With a few deep, grateful breaths. All is well. Allowing your heart's light to shine a little brighter. Knowing there's strength, steadiness, and courage there. You are strong. Feeling the energy flow down through the solar plexus, the top of the belly, down through the sacral at the low belly, into the root at the base of the spine, following it all the way down your legs, out the bottoms of your feet, following it all the way down your arms, out through the palms of your hands. And bringing your hands down to your legs, just smoothing the energy down your legs a few times. Just grounding and connecting in with the earth. And then with your hands facing your body, just sweeping your hands over your energy field, over the aura, filling it up with a rainbow of light, first with red, then orange, then yellow, then green, then blue, indigo, dark blue, and violet, purple, all around you. Just giving the edges of your aura a little symbolic pat, just to seal in that healing goodness. There you go. And then when you're ready, you can gently open your eyes. And if you're joining live, I'd love to hear what you experienced in that meditation. It's always so interesting to me what you experience. So you can type that into the chat, and I'd love to hear that, and I can share those comments live. That just always, meditations like that, or those visualizations, always help me just tap in and tune in, and makes me feel so like instantly at ease and content, and really connected to a greater source, basically. So yeah, so you can share that if you like. Wonderful. Well, thank you. Yeah. Or any other questions you might have, you can type away, and I'd love to answer them. While you're doing that, there's a couple of things I'd like to share. So I'm starting to channel a book, or not starting to, I've done it. I've been writing bits and pieces of it for over a year now. And it's with Jesus. So there we go. I talk to Jesus, and many other ascended masters and angels and loved ones of many, many different faiths and backgrounds. They just sort of pop up, and I listen to them and I write them down, and I love them all. And I always think it's so interesting because I wouldn't describe myself as a Christian I at all, but here he is, Jesus talking to me. So and I like him. So there I am, writing this book, and it's basically a commentary on the Gnostic Gospels, which are 4 texts that never made it into the Bible, but likely have been written by people that actually knew Jesus. So, or at least that's how the story goes. You can believe what you want. I encourage everybody to find their own path, as does Jesus, which is really quite cool. So I've been writing this and just sort of exploring and expanding into that, and I find it's so cool because it's really about the nature of reality and how we fit into that universal web of light. So I thought I'd jump into sort of some of the trippy stuff that's been flowing through my pen about where we sit within the universe, and sort of where we can take this sort of collective power we have as interconnected beings of light, and use that in a really wholesome, positive way that isn't really about any one viewpoint or any one perspective. It's really the energy that's common to everyone. So this is a little bit. I'll just sort of add my little comments to explain things if it doesn't make sense. So the material mind, the one in your brain, has limited scope in its ability to affect the world. But your soul's consciousness has a nearly unlimited ability to shape reality, but with some exceptions to protect the nature of creation. So the strong force, which holds atoms in check, cannot be disturbed even by your soul consciousness, because that force and energy exists on a deeper plane of consciousness, a plane which you can become aware and learn about, but not affect or manipulate, lest you blow yourselves and all creation up. So there are limits on the influence of your thoughts, but not as many as you think. And you can also achieve the results you wish with far less effort and strain than you think. Your soul holds the answers. It understands. It creates solutions that appear as manifestations, coincidences, synchronicity, and providence. It's not so complicated. Look in your heart. Look to your soul. Know that it does not want. Your soul knows no lack. No poverty can touch it. It cannot be depleted. It is beyond all of that. You are an eternal being, part of all that is, living in a conscious, aware universe. You affect your external reality by the thoughts you hold. You shape the world around you by the quality of those thoughts. The kingdom, or queendom, is actually your own. It is the reality you live in with your consciousness. Your life is your kingdom, and you reign over all. So what then? What is part of your thoughts that are not helpful? You have the power to change it all with a thought. Are you a kind ruler or a despot? A tyrant or a peacemaker? You get to decide what kind of hell or heaven your life will be, not us. We are here to help you and guide you, not so that you reach heaven at death, but so that you can create it in life. You create your own heaven when you live in accordance with the Great Spirit, the soul within you, when you allow the light of your heart and your true essence to lead your actions. You create beauty, grace, and kindness in the world that you share with your brothers and sisters and beyond. You look to the great works of art music, literature, architecture, and scientific discoveries, all of these things that last the ages, they are created from a place of connection to the ultimate essence of the soul we are all part of, the universe itself. When you acknowledge that you and God and you are intimately connected in a way that cannot ever be disconnected, then you will know yourself and know that the vanity that you're not part of that, part of God, the soul, the divine soul, the universe. That vanity will fade forever from your mind and you will be free. While it is true that there are multiple forces acting upon you in your life, and a great many actions that are creating results that are centuries old that you are still bound in, you are also freer than ever before to begin changing the present moment and shape it to a kind and suitable world. You can make a positive impact in the world and this reality by your thoughts, thinking positively, staying in gratitude, abstaining from criticism and complaining. But you can make an even greater impact by living your life from this energy of peace and harmony, to create art, work, and structures in physical reality from this essence contributes to the flow of positivity in the collective world you share with the sons and daughters and non-binary genders of God. You are all part of creation. You are all have your own kingdoms to manage. I like this part. Stay with me. This kingdom thing is cool. So think of your kingdom as your personal sphere of reality that travels with you. It's the lens through which you view reality and the world around you. And it is the sum total of your projections, creations, illusions, your worldview. It is composed of energy and matter, and it is the universe as far as you're aware of it. It shapes and conforms to your understanding of what is real and not real. As you learn and grow through the sphere of personal reality, you change the very nature of what you are observing and experiencing. And there's also a deeper shared kingdom that many would call heaven. It's the truest reality where all illusions are dispelled and where there are no contradictions exist, where all can be known, explored, and learned. This is the space in which I live, and you can join me in this space, even with your physical bodies fully alive and well. Please do not wait until death to dispel this illusion, misery, and suffering. Join me in this new way of thinking and being. It's not as difficult as you think. To join with me in my kingdom or my sphere of reality, all you need to do is look to your own heart, to your own divine essence. Your soul contains the key. Your soul is the kingdom. If you seek inward, you will find me. You will find yourself, and you will know that you and I are all part of one thing. We are all children of the living divine essence, which runs through all things. You will know the ultimate truth, and you will feel unity, peace, and clarity in your heart. You will know yourself. You will know your true essence, and you will be free of illusion and suffering. And yeah, it's basically just that brilliance. I could have never thought of all of that. That's how I'm like, something. Being a beautiful being is talking through me. Yeah, and that's a big piece of it, and just this idea that we're all living in this sort of filtered reality of what we believe to be true and real and not real. But underneath it all is an interconnected knowing that we are all part of one thing, the universe, and it is part of us, which is an idea that goes through yogic traditions It's common to many cultures in the world, which I always think is such a neat thing as a background with a background in science, that we are all connected. We are all part of one species. We've only got this one planet, so far, and we share more in common than we have apart. And I find that is such a fascinating intersection for me, that we live in this fabric of light and energy, and we're all part of it, and it's all part of us. And that when we're in that frequency, there's no division. There's only connection and unity. But at the same time, we're living in a world that seems sometimes more disconnected than ever, more combative than ever, and where the things that are separating us sometimes feel like great chasms between people, between cultures, between different social stratas within the same culture. So how do we mend that? And I think a big part of that is that we have to begin always with ourselves. A tenet of Reiki is that all healing is self-healing, that we must always start with ourselves and our own heart and our own spirit and being. And then when we do that healing work, it creates a positive ripple out from us that may or may not influence other people to do their own healing work. But that isn't why we do it. We do it because we need to do the inner work. And so I always think of this, Mahatma Gandhi's phrase, be the change you wish to see in the world, which we see everywhere. It's on bumper stickers, it's on Instagram memes, but it really, if you dig into that statement, it's such a beautiful phrase, a condensed spiritual truth that is true wherever you go in the world, whatever your background, whatever your philosophy. For me, it is a foundation of how I try to live my life, which is that when I see things out in the world that I don't like, then I wonder, is there a place within me where those things exist? And in that text, it's like, are you a tyrant? Are you a despot? Are you a good, kind ruler to yourself? Or are you bullying yourself? So for me, it's like, am I my own best friend? Am I my own cheerleader? Can I learn to love myself the way the divine loves me, which is without condition? There are no conditions on it. There's nothing I need to do in order to be loved. There's nothing you need to do in order to be loved. You don't have to look different than you are. You don't have to do anything differently than what you're doing. You just are it. Just like you can never be outside of the universe. You're always inside it. And if the universe is loving, then you are always loved. And it's as simple as that. And what we're doing with our spiritual progression or our spiritual tools and expansion is really about connecting in to the love that's within us and the love that's we are immersed in and is part of us, experience of it. The love of the universe doesn't change for a second. It's just steady and there. What we get is a greater and greater enhanced awareness and understanding of the love within us. And it's really a beautiful, beautiful process. It's like a flower blooming in your heart. It's it's an expansion that comes in layers, and sometimes those layers of healing are pleasant and sometimes they're not so pleasant. Sometimes it's about, things like anger and frustration and rage and disconnection and depression and anxiety, and all of those things get stirred on up to the surface when we're doing this work. And that's great. And the reason that's great is that it could only move, all that stuff could only bubble up if what we were doing had the ability to change us. If it had the ability to move it, it can move it all the way out. Sometimes when you are doing your spiritual work, it feels like slugfest royale with your inner critic, with the part of you that is unloving to yourself. And so how do we get past that, or how do we move through that part of us that is really mean and negative to us? And I think the first step is that we can't fight things that thrive on fighting. We can only shine a light of love. If we want love, then we have to be love, and we have to be loving to all of the parts of us, even the parts that are uncomfortable, even the parts that are unloving or mean. We have to be loving to that internal environment. And I feel if we start there, if we start with like the internal and make what's on this side of your aura, within your own personal bubble, within your own sphere, within that lens, within what you see of the universe, when you dive into the wisdom within your heart, it will lead you to a place where you are expanded and free. And in that place, we connect to deeper truths, guidance, wisdom. Your intuition and awareness is enhanced and expanded. And when you're in that connected place, the stuff that is, the layers of healing, the stuff that kind of bubbles up one layer after another, is if we can allow that that process to happen very gently, if we can be very gentle and loving to that, if accepting the feelings as they're happening and knowing that they're just like clouds in the sky, they're temporary states, because your truest essence is something that is so much bigger than one bad day or a couple of bad years or a couple of difficult months or even one lifetime. We extend to the edges of infinite reality. And so that kind of power is what we're talking about. And we can, when we tap into that and we harness that and we move through that internal process of healing, when we are changing ourselves, when we're being the change on the inside, then what happens with the law of attraction, with this ripple of energy that goes from you to every living being that then encounters you? You're in a different vibrational state when you're in that connected, heart-centered, compassionate, loving, grateful energy. It's a different flavor. It's a different frequency. And when you're in that sphere, it's like it draws things to you, it draws experiences for you to grow and expand and heal, and it will draw people to you who you can share maybe something and help them in the way that you're best at helping. And sometimes it's not even as deliberate or big as that. Sometimes it's just you being in your light, being in your bubble, keeping yourself in that state, and making that your, whatever is happening on your side of your aura, on your edge, is your responsibility. How you are feeling, how you are being is your work. And then live and let live. Let everybody be who they are, and allow them to flourish and thrive in whatever way they choose to flourish and thrive. And when we do that, if you are lit up, if you are shining in this grateful, compassionate, connected, loving heart space energy, then you encourage people to do the same. Because ultimately, everybody, every single person, the basis of compassion is that everybody wants to be happy. Not everybody knows how to be happy or feel that connected peace and wisdom of their heart's light flowing through them. But if you are there, then just by your presence, you shine like a light. And other people will maybe ask you, how did you get there? What did you do? What tools and tricks do you know that I don't know? You know, and or they'll just go, wow, if they can do it, then maybe I can do it too. We're all looking for leaders to shine the way. And the thing is that we've in our old world, post coronavirus, we looked to one or two solitary people, small groups of people with lots of power and influence to change things for us. Well, this isn't what the new way is going to be. The new way is everybody is responsible for their own self, their own sphere. We are all leaders in different ways. And that we are all here to bring our voice, to bring our light, to shine with courage, to create the things that light us up. It's not all serious. It's not all like leaping into battle and front lines work and being a courageous warrior of the light. It's also just doing things that are fun, doing things that bring joyfulness to the world, creating art and music and building things and planting flowers and planting trees and just being a good citizen and caring about other people, being a compassionate listener. It can be very, very simple. It doesn't have to be complicated, but everybody has a sphere of influence around them of people that they can shine and lead from this connected light. And that, you know, we do that all of the time within our friends and families and within our work groups, is that anytime you take a moment to listen to another person, anytime you have a courageous yet difficult conversation, anytime you set a kind and wise boundary, anytime you say an elegant no to people, that is instructive and that shines a light. And it can be everything from really simple ways to really big sort of, here's this big project, here's this purpose I have, and I see it in my head every time I go to sleep. I can't get it out of my head. How do I get there? And I always think when you awaken from the heart, when you do that healing work inside and you let the heart lead you, every little step of the way, every choice, every tiny little choice. I do it with like, which pen am I going to buy? To should I have an apple or an orange? I let, as much as possible, I let my heart, my soul's essence choose my way. And I try as very best as I can to let the computer not make all of the choices, to just let it follow the deeper, greater instructions of my heart. And to really stay in that heart connected place, because only you can know your own heart. Nobody else can. Not me, not anyone else. You know, you are wise your soul knows. And sometimes that soul wisdom is subtle and it's intangible, and it's hard to always know what those deeper messages are. But yeah, so that's I have a bit that I can read here about that from my other book. But yeah, thank you. That was a nice little ramble. Hopefully that made sense. If you'd like to share a comment, I'd love to hear about that. If you had any questions about any of that material, yeah, it may have been muddled. I may have been talking in one giant loop. I have no idea. So if you have a question or a comment, please type that into the chat. You'll find it below your screen. And yeah, it's good stuff. Okay. Yes. So from my book, The Secret Art of Happiness, there's a chapter called Get Out of the Way, which I really love. This idea that there's a divine knowing running through you. And it's the getting out of the way is really like letting the intellect or the computer of the mind sort of take a little bit of a step back, take a step into, the passenger seat or the back seat, or maybe even in the trunk of the car, and letting that divine guidance and knowing lead you. So yeah, so, and this is all about sort of your intuition. So your intuition, while partly innate, is also a skill. It's a muscle. It takes time to build and strengthen, so it's clear and reliable. At first, you're building your intuitive muscle. As you're building your intuitive muscle, limit your intuitively based choices to small things. Don't jump right into big life decisions here. Practice first with the small choices. Take some time to learn how your body responds to certain situations. Notice how it feels in your body when you say yes, when you really mean no. Notice how you feel within your body after watching certain TV shows or talking to certain people. Right now, you're just bringing awareness to the relationship between your physical tension and your life experience. As you progress through the book, or as you progress through life, you will access your intuitive powers deeper and deeper ways. Your intuition will begin to guide you clearly through every situation you may face. You will find that once you develop this relationship with how your body instinctively responds to your right path, you will also gradually, in the perfect time, develop a deeper connection with your spiritual guides, angels, totem spirits, and the ascended masters. You will develop the ability to communicate directly with to these spiritual resources in a reliable and clear way. You will be able to have clear and immediate access to this and more. And it all starts with developing your connection with your body. I totally agree with me. Whoever wrote that was brilliant. Yeah, because that is how I started. So I did not start out talking to Jesus. I can tell you that much. I started out with not even believing that I was intuitive. Now, looking back, I realized that I was very intuitive, but I had suppressed it. And part of the suppression of my intuition created a pattern of asthma and a bunch of other conditions that sort of went in through my body as a way to wake me up to the fact that I was a very sensitive feeling person. And what Reiki did for me was it gave me a method to ground that energy and to run basically universal life force energy, the interconnectedness of all of the world, through me and around me in my aura, so that I could stay clear and connected in a muddy, confused, disconnected world. And as I did that and I cultivated that, those tools, and I used them every single day, I found that my intuition started bit by bit, and then sometimes it would just jump up, and my intuition would get clearer and clearer and clearer. It's like running clean water through a pipe. Eventually, as you keep doing that and it clears away the internal pain, the part that blocks the messages from the divine, it not only was I able to harness greater and greater amounts of energy through my body and through my hands and with Reiki techniques. Not only is it energy, but it's also information. And so that information I started to be able to piece together. At first, it was just impulses, like a yes feels like a door opening and a no feels like it closing. And then it was, sort of the full body head to toe chills and tingles. Then it was, sort of messages, and it turned from very simple yes and no sort of dialogue to full conversations where I could just hear things in my inner ear and I could just write them down or I could say them. And that is still an ongoing process. And the more I do my own inner healing work, the clearer and clearer that guidance flows through. And I figure if I can do that, somebody who didn't even think they were intuitive just had a vague sense of like, I kind of like this and I kind of don't like that, and I said yes and that didn't really feel good, and now I don't know how to say no, and how do I say no, and I really feel like I shouldn't be there, but I'm not sure how to say that in a way that doesn't disrupt everybody. And so sort of cultivating those skills, and some of them are very practical skills like setting boundaries and tuning inward to know what I want and how I feel. And some of them are more energetic, emotional well-being types of things. As I did that, my intuition increased bit by bit by bit by bit. And I figure if I can do that, you can do that too. If that's something that you want, then absolutely you can go from not being sure that you're even intuitive at all to having deep, in-depth, wonderful conversations about the nature of reality with any being of your choosing. I say go right to the top. Whoever you think the best is, like talk to them and then maybe go one up. And that is a part that I do recommend in as a practice in The Secret Art of Happiness is basically how you talk to your higher being. So like you're talking to your soul and asking your soul basically questions, the part of you that is beyond, that has been a witness to every moment of your life. You can just write to them, write to your soul, and get that information and guidance very clear about what you need to do. And then also, you can expand out to writing to the universe, writing to the sun, the moon, the stars, whatever loving, wise, kind consciousness you'd like to connect to, that's available. And the messages are brilliant and beautiful. And I always run it past a check. Does it make sense? And does it bring peace? And then even if you're just making it all up, who knows? Even if you're just making it all up, which you're not, if it makes sense and it brings peace and brings clarity and guidance and more love into your heart and connection, then it's good. And you want that. And that's a great conversation to be having with anybody, anytime. Yeah, so I found that just by doing those things and developing this practice and believing that it was possible, I expanded into this greater and greater awareness and intuition, and I think that you can do that too. And one of the really cool things is that's been coming through lately is that any question you have, any discipline that you're in, any place that you're working, you can ask questions not just about big stuff, but about anything really. And it the expansion is just beautiful, and the guidance is very clear, and you can get very specific, detailed instructions of what to do next in and how to handle different situations, and more often than not, it works better than what your mind can cook up. So, and I always know that it's coming from a great place when it's like, put you back into your heart, put you back into your body. When you're in your body, then your body can feel where to go next, what to do next, what's the best place, where do you go from here. So yeah, so there you go. Yeah, if anybody had anything they'd like to share, or what they experienced, that would be lovely. I'd love to hear from you. And yeah, I really believe deeply in the power of illuminated, heart-centered, compassionate people to change the world. I believe in the power of the heart. I believe in the power of the soul to bring solutions and doorways where there was only obstacles and walls, and to flow over, under, and around all difficulties, all seeming, just it brings us to a place where we can start creating solutions and solutions that not only impact and affect our own well-being and the well-being of our lives and our families, but it creates a bigger ripple, and we'll really never know how big that ripple can go, and how one simple interaction, just smiling at a stranger, just being a compassionate listener, just doing our own work, our own self-healing and self-care work. We'll never know how far that ripple goes and how many people we can help just by our beingness, just by being who you are. And that is something that is just so exciting to me. And I feel like the more you tap into that, I know and I trust that you will be led. And at first, it might be very subtle, and it will be hard to pick up the signal because there might be a lot of chatter and noise. But as you do, and you just, even if it's just a subtle, like, I just feel like this way, feel like I should go here, so I'm just going to go there. And giving yourself days maybe where you just live by your intuition. As long as it's leading you to healthy, happy places, then you know that it's a great place, that it's guiding you. And the more you do that, those choices you make that are in alignment with the divine creates a manifesting wave that brings miracles into your life and into other people's lives. So Kate says, such great content, Geneva. Just learning to listen to my body for yes and no, and it's such a neat and helpful practice. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. That's where I started out, and I stayed there for a good long while, years. And And I know, and you can get information, you can run it like an experiment. You don't have to take my word for it. Like, run the experiment and see what results you get back. And for me, when I get a no and I say yes, it goes terribly every single time. Even if I think that my way into, well, maybe it should be and I should do blah, blah, blah. When I am rationalizing something, then it probably means that it's the wrong thing to do. The right thing to do is always like a slam dunk yes. And if you can, as much as possible, go into that place, it really brings you to really beautiful, magical places. And yeah, so thank you everybody. So I'll just leave you with the next actions. So it's always really good if after this you wanted to journal for 5 minutes and just see what tumbles out. Just set a timer and turn off the inner critic and just journal and see, just see what your inner being is saying. I think that's always a really good thing, to just sort of check in and just see, and pose those questions to your higher being. It's like, what about this and what about this, and just write a little bit about whatever tumbles out. Just set a timer for 5 minutes, and do a free write. So don't cross anything out, don't edit, don't worry about grammar or punctuation. You don't have to share it with anybody. Just between you, the page, and the divine, just tumble out whatever you think. And then if you get a call to action, a suggestion, a kind guidance, keep doing this, or keep going, you're doing great, or go to bed, honey, or get some more water and be outside more, or whatever little nudges the universe is leading you in. um, you know uh, just write them down and just ponder and reflect on them. Good advice is good advice. And the best advice is the advice that comes from your soul. So please, thank you for joining me live, and thank you if you've been joining later. This has been really, really great. You can check out the lunaholistic.com. The blog for any of these calls will be posted there, and previous ones are there as well as lots of great information for you, and the resources page for all kinds of meditations and things like that might be useful for you, and more information on the events that are coming up. So we have a series of these Lightworker calls that we'll be doing throughout the summer of 2020, and we also will have some Reiki classes coming up soon. Those will be hosted primarily online, so if you live elsewhere, you can attend and learn Reiki. We've been doing that for the past 3 months, and it has worked marvelously well. And then we do offer some in-person practicum sessions for people who are able to come to our Calgary studio when it opens up. We will be reopening fairly shortly, so stay tuned for that. And I just want to thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you, and be well, and take very good care of yourself, because you are a being of light created from a spark of the divine from the universe. You're a very precious being, so please take very exceptionally good care of yourself this week and every other week. Thank you. Thank you, and take care, everybody. We'll see you next time.